Live radar, working for you.
A big judgment against big tobacco. This one could affect anyone who's ever smoked. It could cost tobacco companies hundreds of billions of dollars. There's something about Hillary. The Senate campaign officially begins, drawing more attention than a presidential frontrunner. In depth tonight, balance of power. Why the women's vote counts so much, how things change when women are elected to office. And sudden impact and SUVs. A new study shows which ones are safest for your family in a crash.
From NBC News, this is NBC Nightly News with Tom Brokaw. Reporting tonight from Los Angeles.
Good evening. This could be a historic day in the battle against big tobacco. It could mean compensation for anyone who has had a smoke-related disease, cancer, or emphysema, or whatever. A jury in Florida found big tobacco guilty of producing a dangerous product and hiding that danger from the public. This was a class action lawsuit. That means that all smokers were represented in Florida, so the implications are staggering. NBC's Bob Kerr has more tonight.
Bringing in the jury.
The sweeping verdict against cigarette makers came late today in a Miami courtroom. Conspiracy, fraud, negligence.
Philip Morris Incorporated, yes. R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company, yes.
All the major tobacco companies guilty of making and selling a defective product that causes cancer and other diseases. A first in tobacco litigation, one case on behalf of up to 1 million sick Florida smokers or their survivors.
Until now, the tobacco industry has suffered only sporadic losses that could be described as a crack in the dike. But today's decision opens up the opportunity for literally hundreds of thousands of people to come into court.
Some of them showed up throughout the 9-month trial, and in the end, neither they nor the jury bought the company line.
You could stand on a rooftop and shout that smoking is dangerous from the top of your lungs, and you wouldn't be telling anyone anything they didn't know.
More doctors smoke Camels.
But using ads and documents that span decades, opponents argued that tobacco companies deceived the World War II generation about the dangers. Then, as older smokers got sick and died, targeted children. Attorney Stanley Rosenblatt labeled tobacco an industry without a conscience and seeks at least $200 billion in damages.
If this doesn't deserve punishment, what does? What does if this doesn't deserve punishment?
But this trial isn't over. The jury must determine how much its verdict will cost the tobacco companies. The specific medical and hardship claims of the smokers and families must be weighed. Still, it poses the most serious financial threat the industry has ever faced. Bob Kerr, NBC News, Washington.
And what is the most watched Senate race of the 1990s took another major turn today. Hillary Clinton, the first lady to run for elective office, began to acquaint herself with her newly adopted state. But as NBC's Andrea Mitchell reports, Hillary Clinton has adopted New York, but will the state return the favor?
It's the start of the First Lady's Senate campaign on the farm of retiring Senator Daniel Patrick Moynihan. She promises her first priority from now on, the people of New York.
Now, I suppose the questions on everyone's mind is why the Senate and why New York and why me?
Her answer, she cares deeply about the people in New York, but some voters are skeptical. By far her biggest challenge, convincing voters an outsider can represent them.
So far, the only thing we know is where she's from. When we know what she's for, we can talk about it.
How do you address the issue that Rudy Giuliani has raised, that you're a carpetbagger?
I think it's a very fair question, and I fully understand people raising it. And I think I have some real work to do to get out and listen and learn from the people of New York.
But again, no direct answer. She does have some big advantages. Today, she flew a $36 million Air Force jet. Getting attention, clearly not a problem. A media crush of more than 200, even bigger than for George W. Bush's campaign kickoff. Her star power, undeniably a big draw.
Run, Hillary, run! Run, Hillary, run!
I will need your help.
The adulation is great, but is she prepared for whatever Giuliani can dish out?
everyone else can say or do what they choose. But for me, getting out there and being with people is, really a great opportunity that I'm excited about.
What can she expect if Rudy Giuliani is her chief opponent?
Chaos. The intrigue will be astounding. You will be amazed how hard it is to figure it out and how much fun you will have trying to do.
How rough will it be?
It's going to be a wonder to watch.
And then there's the New York press. Today she ducked questions about Monica Lewinsky and Whitewater. But aides know she'll have to deal with that before she can make her case for becoming a senator. Andrea Mitchell, NBC News, Oneonta, New York.
We have another major consumer story tonight, the safety of the hottest vehicles on the roads these days, the SUVs, the sport utility vehicles. Just how safe are they in a high-speed crash? What would happen to your family? Here's NBC's Ann Thompson.
America's insatiable demand for sport utility vehicles driving the auto industry to a sales record this year. But tonight, new questions about how safe you actually are inside one. The latest crash test results from the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety show mixed performances among 6 1999 mid-sized SUVs.
To get good performance in this test, you don't have to have an expensive design. It just requires a commitment on the part of the manufacturer.
This test simulates a head-on collision at 40 miles per hour. The best performers, the Mercedes M-Class and the Lexus RX 300. Why? Car and Driver editor Chubba Chetta says it's because they are new vehicles, and unlike many other SUVs, they are not built on existing truck platforms.
They were essentially designed from the ground up to be SUVs, and consequently it was a little bit easier to design them to meet this crash test.
The worst performer, the Mitsubishi Montero Sport. Here you can see why. The Lexus is on top, the Montero on the bottom. The occupant compartment stays reasonably intact in the Lexus, while the Montero suffers what the Institute describes as a major collapse. Of the other 3 SUVs tested, the Institute gave the Land Rover Discovery Series 2 and the Dodge Durango acceptable ratings. The Jeep Grand Cherokee, by far the best seller of those tested, got a marginal rating. One analyst says these crash tests put pressure on the industry to do better, but don't expect them to put a dent in sales, already up 10% this year. Today, shopping for an SUV in Los Angeles, safety is on Frank and Katina Pasalacqua's list of wants.
Safety has to be the #1 factor in buying a car.
While their size makes consumers feel safe, SUVs are still more likely to roll over and cause more damage in a crash. But Institute officials say today's results show some manufacturers are finding ways to make SUVs as safe as they feel. Ann Thompson, NBC News, Chicago.
There will be more on SUVs and safety tonight on Dateline at 8, 7 Central Time. And when we come back, on the day that Hillary Clinton takes such a big step into the political arena, NBC News in depth tonight. Women in power. What makes them run? What do they bring to the political arena?
Women, when they serve as legislators, really want to get the job done. They're not interested in proving how tough they are and how macho.
Women with political muscle, tonight's In Depth. And poverty on the reservation, Pine Ridge. President Clinton tries to offer Native Americans hope as they live in desperate circumstances.
Today, while Amanda Scott was with her students, someone else was negotiating with lenders about her mortgage. At noon, she was keeping order on the playground instead of meeting with a home inspector. At 3, she met with Annie Chung's parents instead of reviewing closing costs with her attorney. And while Amanda was planning tomorrow's lesson, someone else was tying up loose ends at her new home. You've got a life. We let you live it. We're realtors. Real estate is our life.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns, there's bound to be one where you're headed. You can pretty much bet on it. Days Inn. There you go.
This nation was built by heroes who have always driven trucks with a strength to match their own. The GMC Yukon continues this tradition, an SUV with power to do more than expected. So to the heroes, we make this promise. You keep building this land, we'll supply the trucks.
Lease a 99 Yukon for only $419 a month for 36 months. The Yukon by GMC.
Announcing a new way to see, near and far. The new AccuView bifocal contact lens with pupil intelligent design. Call 1-800-531-2121 for a free trial pair or visit your eye care professional.
Also try new Genuine Bear Gel Caps, the only gel cap that can help save your life. New Bear Gel Caps, powerful pain relief, and so much more.
On a new Dateline tonight, it's the most agonizing choice a police officer will ever make.
You want to shoot me? Come on, put one right here. Put the gun down. Put it right here.
To shoot or not to shoot.
Drop the gun. Drop the gun.
On the streets, a decision that could mean life or death. When to fire. A new Dateline tonight, 8/7 Central on NBC.
NBC News in Depth tonight call it the female factor, women in politics, and the effect on all of our lives. Hillary Clinton's candidacy may be getting all the attention, but she's just one of many women making a run for political power these days. In 1988, just over 1,900 women ran for state or federal office. Last year, that number jumped to almost 2,500. That's an increase of 29%. More women in power, more women going to the polls. What does it mean for all of us? Here's NBC's Kelly O'Donnell in depth.
In Arizona, they call them the Fab Five. All the top offices in this state held by women. A first for the nation, an historic break through the glass ceiling, shattering all across the country as well. Here in Arizona, they claim gender was not a factor in their election, but does being a woman affect how they govern?
The bottom line issue is, can we perform? We must perform.
Betsy Bayless is Arizona's Secretary of State. She claims there are no so-called women's issues, just people's issues, but says the female leadership here that boasts early success on more education funding does make family, children, and women's concerns a major priority.
I don't believe that it took a woman to push the education issues through, but I believe what happened was that Governor Hull put that issue at the very top of her agenda.
Governor Jane Hull, observers here say, runs the state with what might be called a more feminine touch. Arizona pollster Michael O'Neill.
However you characterize it, it has certainly been far less combative and much more oriented towards getting things done.
Around the nation, more women than ever hold elective office. 10 years ago, 1,425 women elected to federal, state, and city jobs. Today, that number up more than 40%. Now more than 2,000 women voted into office.
I think women bring leadership on different kinds of issues. They put on the front burner issues that men often would put on the back burner.
Case in point, Washington State, where 40% of state legislators are women, the country's highest number. Among their accomplishments this year, getting Medicaid to pay for poor women's contraceptives, increased daycare funding for college student moms, and new laws to protect the privacy of victims of domestic violence. But not every women's initiative sailed through. State Senator Jerry Costas championed a bill to end discrimination against breastfeeding mothers at work. It failed. But Costas sees progress.
One of the things that we've found over the years is that women tend to get involved in public policy because of a specific issue. Men, for the most part, have really looked at a career in politics. But we're working with young women now to get them to do the same thing.
Women with new political strength, organizing in new ways.
Women are driving the political process, and I think this election will be happening more than ever. There's a new grassroots effort going on, and it's happening on the internet.
And in the voting booth, more women cast ballots than men and have showed up in greater numbers at the polls for the last 35 years. A force electing more women, a force every candidate must respect. Kelly O'Donnell, NBC News, Phoenix.
Still ahead here on NBC Nightly News, 6 months to the year 2000, and some very strange goings-on in the Holy Land. You might be surprised by what's behind it all.
We're picking up our CEO. We swerved off the road and boom, the airbags go off.
There was a deer.
I never saw it.
Seconds later, an OnStar advisor calls and says, I just got a signal. Your airbags went off. Should I send an ambulance?
We were fine, but she called for a tow truck and a limo.
Good thing I called OnStar.
OnStar called us.
Oh, right.
OnStar. During the OnStar Summer of Savings, get the OnStar phone-based system and installation at no extra charge when you prepay for a year of service. Call 1-800-OnStar-7.
In this envelope with a green star could be a real check for $25,000. In this one could be $100,000. This week there are thousands of real checks in selected Publishers Clearinghouse envelopes with a green star. Watch your mail.
Out here, am I supposed to say, slow down, I'm constipated? I don't think so. So I rely on doctor-recommended Metamucil. Works with my body, gently, which is important to a sensitive guy like myself.
I don't just paste my dentures anymore. Now I bond them with C-Bond denture adhesive.
Only C-Bond is a soft, micro-thin seal with 2 powerful adhesives that bond dentures to your gums, so they can hold and fit comfortably all day.
I can bite and chew with confidence.
Easy to remove, no messy cleanups. Bond your dentures with C-Bond. And now discover C-Bond Natural Fresh, all-day bonding power with natural mint freshness for fresher breath.
In hospital pharmacies, they dispense medicines that work fast. For heartburn, that's 1-minute Malox.
It goes to work on stomach acid in 1 minute. Pepsid AC could take over 45 minutes.
Hospital pharmacies rely on Malox. Shouldn't you?
Count on 1-minute Malox.
Boogie woogie, rumbling round, creamy, dreamy, rumbling round. It's got yogurt blended right in with the creamy taste of butter. You'll try again.
The goodness of yogurt, the creamy taste of butter with half the fat and calories. Must be Rummelin' Brown.
Great news for all you cats.
That's us, Chuck.
Really? The Whiskas you love in a can now comes in the new Flavor Lock pouch.
What a great day
to be of the feline persuasion. Now wake her up.
You betcha.
Like this, Marv.
Woo! I'm up.
And Whiskas has the Flavor Lock pouch to seal in all the slow-cooked goodness of Whiskas home-style favorites.
Whiskas. What cats want.
Friday, get a double dose of our summer concert series when Chicago and the Doobie Brothers take it to the streets. Brought to you by the incredible edible egg, only on Today.
Get more of the Today Show with Later Today, coming in September.
President Clinton is spending this week visiting communities left behind despite the country's great prosperity these days. Today, it was one of the poorest places in America, in South Dakota near the Nebraska border. The Pine Ridge Reservation, home of the Oglala Sioux, living in terrible poverty. NBC's Claire Shipman is traveling with the president.
He's the first sitting president to come to an Indian reservation since FDR in 1936. And for the Oglala Sioux residents of Pine Ridge, the visit is long overdue. It's perhaps the bleakest stop on his poverty tour, 75% unemployment. Death from alcoholism is 9 times the national average. Life expectancy here, 15 years less than most Americans.
We're coming to from Washington to ask you what you want to do and tell you we will give you the tools and the support to get done what you want to do for your children and their future.
Mary Tobacco grew up here, left for college, and then returned. She waited for hours to see the president.
And some people come in thinking that they're going to change the entire reservation by starting large, but we have to start small.
The White House says it's doing just that by highlighting one glaring problem, housing. 40% of residents here live in substandard quarters.
How many people live in here with you?
Between 2 houses, there's 28.
As the physical fitness director at the reservation's hospital, Mary Tobacco sees the effects of the housing shortage firsthand.
It's depressing. When people are depressed, then they'll turn to alcohol or drugs to escape that, and I think that's a huge problem.
The situation is so bad here that encouraging private investment, the theme of the president's trip, is virtually impossible without government help. HUD, the Department of Housing and Urban Development, has formed a partnership with private lenders to make mortgages easier to get. And HUD is actually helping to build homes. 50 more like this one are expected this year. But the fact is, 4,000 more homes are needed. And former tribal leader Milo Yellowhair believes now is the time to solve problems.
I believe that America is big enough. It's powerful enough, it's rich enough, and it's safe enough, it's secure at home, to really deal with the American Indian in the way it should be done.
But the president also cautioned that no amount of help from Washington will make a difference unless the Oglala themselves are committed to making a better life here. Claire Shipman, NBC News, Pine Ridge, South Dakota.
10 years ago, NBC's Betty Rollin and ML Flynn produced an award-winning series on the terrible effect of alcohol on the people of Pine Ridge. This week, we asked Bob Faw to give us an update on one of the young Sioux, his life a decade later.
For Nathaniel Blacksmith, today, sadly, was much like 10 years ago on the Pine Ridge Reservation, where 12-year-old Nathaniel lived in a broken world, where alcoholism was rampant and almost no tribal members had jobs.
I think it's the worstest place.
With his mother and 16 others, he lived in a ramshackle house provided by the federal government, floundered in school, wandered aimlessly, even considered suicide, which Native American children committed 4 times more often than other students.
I come this close to hang myself. I should have.
Official Washington, which once broke treaties with Native Americans and confiscated their lands, has also made lavish promises to help them and has spent lavishly, too. $29 billion since 1993.
Has it helped? 10 years later, Nathaniel has dropped out of high school, has been in and out of trouble with the law, has an infant son, and a broken marriage.
I still have my times of thinking the worst of myself, where I just basically, lose my hope, lose my faith.
10 years later, he's back home living with his mother in the same crumbling house. 20% of households don't have plumbing here. There is a new casino the tribe owns and operates, and a new recreation center. But unemployment is a staggering 73%, and alcoholism, a scourge then, remains a scourge today. But Nathaniel has changed, has received his high school equivalency, is certified as a carpenter, talks of going to college, and acknowledges that to succeed, he will probably have to leave the reservation.
There is opportunity, there is jobs, but it's just a matter of you getting the luck of the draw the straw,
He will need more than luck. Here, the odds against him are overwhelming.
What we're doing today is just a whole different deal because we're surviving. I'm going to make it. I plan to.
But Nathaniel's laugh is nervous. He has seen that change, when it does arrive, moves very slowly here, and that even in the land of the great Sioux warriors, it takes more than good intentions to fix all that is broken. Bob Faw, NBC News, Washington.
At the other end of America, on Wall Street, high hopes for corporate earnings sent stocks higher today. The Dow was up more than 52 points. A new record, 11,187. NASDAQ was also up more than 6 points. Up next, Americans on a long, very strange trip to the Holy Land. It's called the Jerusalem Syndrome.
This week, the Publishers Clearinghouse Prize Patrol has no van to drive and no checks to deliver. Because this week, Publishers Clearinghouse is putting thousands of real checks right in the mail. If you get an envelope with this green star, open it and you can find a real check for $100,000 that you can take right to the bank. So this week, the Prize Patrol will have to find something else to do.
Yes. Nice one.
Watch for a Publishers Clearinghouse envelope with a green star. There could be a real check inside.
Great meal.
Uh-oh, gas pressure. What now? What else? Gas X, with the most powerful medicine for fast relief. Nothing works faster.
Hey, want to go for ice cream?
Gas X, the power to fight gas fast.
Announcing a new way to see, near and far. The new AccuView bifocal contact lens with pupil intelligent design. Call 1-800-531-2121 for a free trial pair or visit your eye care professional.
Hi, I have a question about buying stock. What's the difference between a market order and a limit order? Hello? Excuse me.
When you have an investment question, does your online brokerage have anybody there to answer it? We do.
It's not funny anymore.
It's summer, when everybody can use the refreshment of a good hose down. And your deck can use the refreshment of a new coat of Thompson's Wood Protector. For rain, sun, mildew, it's the most powerful Thompson's yet. Thompson's Wood Protector. It never takes a day off.
With Days Inn hotels in over 1,800 cities and towns,
you can go as far as you want. We'll always be right down the lane. Days Inn. There you go.
I just bought every overnight laxative I could find.
Why?
To prove nothing's gentler than Phillips Milk of Magnesia. X-Lax, Senecot, every one of these others contains stimulants. That one says on the label it may cause abdominal discomfort, faintness, and cramps. Phillips is the only one that's stimulant-free. Nothing's more effective, nothing's safer. Does that explain everything?
Yeah, except who's taking these back?
Phillips, safe, effective relief without harsh stimulants.
Just ahead at 6, some prominent country music insiders may be coming to the aid of an alleged stalker here in Nashville. And the garbage is piling up in one Middle Tennessee town, all because of a dispute over pay. We will look at what it will take to get the garbage collectors back on the street. Stay with us. The Scene at 6 is just minutes away.
As we heard from NBC's Jim Avalo last night, many of the Christian faithful are headed for Jerusalem for New Year's Eve, drawn by their faith that something momentous will happen in that ancient city. Well, tonight, Jim tells us about another kind of pilgrim.
Jerusalem, ancient city, for thousands of years, an irresistible force attracting pilgrims from 3 of the world's major religions. But there is a new kind of pilgrim now, preaching doom, tied to Bible timetables. Some interpret as predicting Armageddon in the year 2000.
He's up there, people, right up there. He's getting near.
Some can't handle the power of the place. This man is one of them. He calls himself Elijah, God's prophet.
The greatest place ever to be in the world is going to be Jerusalem.
Elijah suffers from what psychiatrists call Jerusalem syndrome, a genuine mental illness that often strikes deeply religious people drawn to the holy city. Elijah says he's a carpenter from California, transformed by a visit to Jerusalem, when he heard God's voice tell him that leaking water near the ancient temple of the Jews spells the end for non-believers.
Water shall start flowing as drops, as a stream, and then it's going to become a river, and it's a sign of the coming of Messiah.
Some Jerusalem syndrome sufferers are perfectly normal before and after their visit here. Others transform forever, taking on the identity of biblical characters, regularly talking to God. What does God sound like?
Very awesome.
Psychiatrist Dr. Yair Bar-El discovered Jerusalem syndrome 20 years ago.
Yes, the contact of the holy places is the trigger.
Normally, he sees 3 to 4 cases a year, but the crush of millennial pilgrims has him worried. On this very spot, inside the Joppa Gate in the old city of Jerusalem, exactly 2,000 years ago, absolutely nothing important happened. But somehow, this historically insignificant place has become the Mecca, the Jerusalem, the Rome to pilgrims of the millennium. In fact, registered at this very hotel right now are Elijah, John the Baptist, Gabriel the angel, and 2 messiahs. One of the messiahs, a former teacher from America's East Coast, arrived 6 weeks ago. So crowded, he rents living space on the roof of the hotel.
I want to invite you all to come and see me here in Jerusalem.
As for who made him Savior, his answer is simple.
Somebody has to be the Messiah.
Experts say the only cure for Jerusalem syndrome, which can disappear in a week, is to leave the Holy Land, cut all direct contact with the religious shrines, and in the year 2000, leave this ancient city to the ancients. Jim Avila, NBC News, Jerusalem.
That's Nightly News for Wednesday. Don't forget Dateline tonight at 8 for more on those SUV crash tests. I'm Tom Brokaw. Good night.
Nightly News is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.
A fatal car crash kills 2 young Nashvillians. Now on the scene at 6, find out why a tragic twist may have led to their deaths. Also, police say he's a dangerous criminal. But tonight, find out why this accused stalker may be getting some help from some very powerful